Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Life by JMAR. You guys, I'm super excited today to have on Miss Natalie Jill. She actually, Natalie Jill Fit is how most people know her on Instagram and social media. And she's already on the line. It's the Monday after a long weekend. And so I'm sure she's a little groggy because it's a lot earlier there, isn't it?
It's not that early. It's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. That's early for me. I mean, I don't know. Just to be on a call, you look fresh, you look amazing, and I kind of, I've been excited to talk to you because of everything you've been through, and I've been like on overload, Natalie Jill, and my ear pods in all the time, listening to all your podcasts and stuff like that. And I wanted to have you on so that my listeners could, first of all, know about your new program. I mean, which is awesome, and then just kind of your story because it is an incredible story and your message to women that are older, like me, in their 40s and 50s, is empowering and encouraging and inspiring. And I think it's so needed because as moms, we feel moms and women, as we get older, we feel like our value isn't there.
Sure.
And that is not your message.
No.
But I want to get into that because you have a book coming out, which I've already pre-ordered, nerding out on that. My husband's like, what's, I've never even ever pre-ordered a book before, by the way. That's the first time ever doing that. And that one's let me make sure I get it right. Cause that one is Aging in Reverse, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And we can talk about that. And I really do want to get into that, but can you give just a little bit of, I don't know, of your story, like from what made you get on social media in the first place? I know recently you've also been through some like baggage. Like there's so much to your story that got you to this place. And it's I want you to share a little bit of it if you could.
Yeah. Where do you want me to start?
Oh man. Well, with me, I started following you back, oh my gosh, maybe in 2014. I don't even know the date. It doesn't really matter. But my first time seeing you was your story was like I felt like bleh, you just had your baby, you weren't happy with everything in your life, and then you decided you're really big on vision boards, and that's how you started to create the business that you have today. Correct?
Yeah.
Start there, like where?
Yeah. Yeah. So this was back 11 years ago. So this was back in 2007, 2008. I just had my daughter, and I don't know how old your listeners are or how much you remember, but at that time, and from about 2007, 2009, it was a total economic downturn in our country here in the United States. And it was a lot of problems happening for a lot of people. And I was in that tornado of problems. And what I mean by that is I just had my daughter and I gained a lot of weight. A lot of people gain weight when they're pregnant. There's nothing unusual about that. But my daughter weighed about 6 pounds when she was born, and I gained over 60 from where I am now today. So not only 5'2", it was a lot, and it wasn't just from being pregnant.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of weight that I had gained, and so I had that going on. But what was also going on, what people didn't really know about me at the time, is that I was going through a divorce. So here I am, a new mom, just had a baby, and I looked like anyone that looked at me would have thought I had this perfect life. Like she's got the nice house, she's got a good job. She got the 2 dogs, she has a new baby. But what they didn't know is that I was dying inside. I was going through a divorce. I was scared about being a single mom. I didn't know what was going on in my body. I gained a lot of weight. I was feeling depressed because of the divorce, because of the weight gain, because of probably some postpartum hormones issues. And then to add salt to the injury is that the housing market had crashed. So now I was getting financially backwards in my house. And anyone that owned a house in that time remembers what was going on. And I was not somebody who had done a crazy loan or anything really weird. I just had put, my 20% down on my house, but now it wasn't worth what it was when I bought it, and it had gone significantly down. And I had to make some seriously hard decisions for the first time in my life, actually. And I feel that ego corrects us all the time in life. And, I was at a time before this all happened to me where I was pretty self-righteous about it all. It was like, yeah, nobody should be in debt and everybody should have a good job. And I had a very strong opinions about that. And that's when, things start to correct themselves. It's like the world said, well, let's show you. So for the first time in my life, not only was I depressed, overweight, feeling very broke, and broke in, but now I couldn't afford my mortgage anymore. And I was scared, and I did have a job. That was what was working for me, which was great. I had a great job, but I also was traveling full time with my job, and I didn't know how I was going to do that as a single mom.
Right.
And I remember feeling like I literally had weight of the world on me, and just feeling super sad and depressed. And the word that always comes up for me was fake. I felt fake, and I felt fake because I felt like nobody really knew what was going on with me. And I felt that I wasn't sharing it, and I wasn't comfortable sharing it, as a lot of people walk around life doing. We think that we can't be vulnerable. We can't be authentic. We can't really tell people what's going on. We have to put on this act. And that's who I was at that time. I really was fake at that time. That's why if someone ever says to me now, you're fake, like, I just kind of laugh at it. Cause like, no, I'm really not. I'm not compared to what I was. Like, maybe you think I look fake. You don't like my eyelashes or my hair or whatever, but I don't, that's so surface level compared to who I was at that time. I was fake at that time. Nobody really knew who I was at that time.
Yeah, it's in your broken moments that you grow the most, though. And, you wouldn't be helping the people that you're helping and be in the place that you're in today if it wasn't for that horrible time that you went through, for sure.
Yes. Now, what was working for me at that time was I was somebody who had always felt that I didn't want to live in excuses. So I felt sad and I was depressed and I had a lot not working. But what was working for me is I really did have this excuses or solutions mentality, and I knew I wouldn't stay there. What was also working for me is I did have a big network of people, but I hadn't opened up to them yet. What was also working for me is I did have a new daughter that I loved, and I was happy to be there with. What did work for me is I did have a support system that was just waiting for me to ask them. So I did have a lot working for me. I just wasn't looking at that time, at that moment.
But the vision board is how that all started, right? Like you were just like, I gotta change this mindset.
Yeah. So my turning point was that I had a couple like really rock bottom moments that really I remember strong. One was catching a glimpse of myself while I was walking in a mirror. It was a window that had that mirror reflection, and really looking at it going, I don't even recognize the person I'm looking at. I know some women listening can relate to that. And then I also had a turning point moment when I went to put my credit card in the gas station to get gas, and it was American Express. I'll never forget this. I'd never had a late payment my whole life on American Express, and they rejected my credit card. And I was like, what's going on? And I remember calling American Express and saying, why did you reject my credit card? Like, I've never had a late payment. And they said, well, Natalie, you're $1.4 million in debt. I was like, what? I just remember my heart. I was like, what do you mean I didn't even understand how that was possible. What that was my mortgage. I had stopped paying. I had to make a decision to stop paying my mortgage. And, that's what happened. So that was my rock bottom. And, but the turning point was that I remember reflecting and thinking, how have I empowered others? And I say that because I was in corporate and I used to empower a lot of people, doctors, sales reps, like all types of people. And my big focus with them was always on vision. Like, what's your vision? What do you want to create? What are your goals? What is your vision? And backing them out to live and work towards that vision. But I never done it with myself. I never had done it myself. So I sat there asking myself the question, what's my vision? And I didn't know. And I know some people listening can relate to this. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I just want to be happy. That's what I kept thinking. But that's not a vision. Saying I want to be happy is not a vision.
Right.
So I had heard about vision boards. And so I remember I went and got a bunch of magazines, and I sat there one afternoon just pictures of what my fantasy was. And I didn't even know until I started going through the magazines. And that's what I tell people, like, don't go on Pinterest or Google and do it. Like, literally just go through magazines and see what strikes your attention. Because what I pulled out was fit girls, beaches, happy family, all kinds of amazing stuff. And I just remember putting it on that vision board and saying, if I stare at this vision board and I keep, if I start evoking those feelings, and what I mean is I felt like crap. I felt terrible. But I felt like if I could look at the girl in the vision board that's standing on the beach, that's all fit and happy, playing with her daughter, like, what would she be feeling right then? What would that feel like? What would she be doing? And I would start asking myself those questions as I would stare at that vision board. Like, what would she be eating? Who would she be talking to? What would she do with her day? Would she lay in bed and complain and not get dressed? No. What would she do? And I just remember thinking, if I just can start imagining that I'm the person living in that vision board, that would change my thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
And if I then start taking actions to match those thoughts, it has to change my life. And that's literally how it all started.
Did you have anyone in your life at that time that was maybe also encouraging you or discouraging you? Because sometimes when you try and change something.
I had nobody Nobody encouraging me. I wasn't opening up to people. I had a few friends that I started to talk to, but I was a Debbie Downer. I just wanted to tell them what was wrong with me. And what I didn't know then that I know now is that somebody empathizing with your misery and just saying, you're right, that sucks, does not help you.
Right.
It doesn't help you. Like, it doesn't, like, I needed some tough love. I needed somebody to shake me and say, wake up. Wake up. Like, you've got a lot going for you. Like, what are you grateful for? And I know I didn't have that at the time. I did not.
When I always said, I just recently did a podcast with my, we do one every Wednesday called Soul Sisters with my friend from New York. And we were just talking about how what you're full of, you are led by. And so you filled yourself up with these things that were good and things that you wanted for your future. And that led you to that,
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah. And I didn't know it. I never asked myself the question how. And I encourage people even now to this day, don't ask how, just ask, like, what is your vision? What do you want? How do you want to feel? Like, ask those questions and the how reveals itself. But if you get stuck on the how, like, how am I going to do that? You won't get anywhere.
Yeah. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time. I just do it. And things happen, and no, I get that. That's awesome. So that got you, I think that's what your first bestseller was, the 7-day.
So what happened was, I started sharing. So as I started evoking my vision and started taking actions towards that, my life started changing, very gradual. And I remember even thinking, like, my body looks the same. I still feel, but I was like, but if I keep doing this every day, it's got to make a difference. If I just keep eating this way every day, it's got to change. So I remember looking online and, researching diets and nutrition and workouts. And I went through what everyone goes through, like this total information overload. And I didn't know what was what. And I was so confused. So I thought, I'm just going to dig on my own and learn and do what makes sense for me. So what I started researching and studying, and I actually ended up getting certified and getting my license. I became a master sports nutritionist for my own benefit. I just was wanting to learn for myself, not for anyone else at the time. But I learned so much, and I really started to simplify, and I really fell in love with just an unprocessed natural food diet. And that's how I started eating. So things that once grew, things that were good for me. I used to look at food and say, what is this doing for me? Like, is it just making me feel good in the moment? Like a Reese's peanut butter cup, but what's it doing for me?
Right.
And I didn't have an answer to a Reese's peanut butter cup. So, but what I had an answer for was, I'm eating berries, I'm eating grapefruit, I'm eating, lean chicken, I'm eating broccoli. Like, what are those things doing for me? And I could feel it, and I could associate that. So I started doing that, and I started sharing on Facebook. And at the time I have almost 2 million people on Facebook now. But at the time I had, maybe 100 high school friends. And I remember turning to Facebook and saying, I'm just going to share here what I'm doing, because that's accountability then. Like, if I say, hey, I'm going to post my lunch here every day, then I was really motivated to post a healthy lunch every day and be mindful with it and take my time, because I knew I was posting it. But what happened was, people were really interested. And because I was being so raw and authentic and vulnerable, and I didn't have an agenda, which is the lesson I would teach in marketing now, is just be that. When someone says, what's the marketing trick? There is no trick. Be that. So I was just doing that. And literally just doing that. And people were very interested. They were following. And the next question inevitably was, hey, you should make a recipe book. Well, I didn't know how to make a recipe book. So and I don't usually ask how. I just figure, like, I want to say, well, I don't want to know what other people are doing. But I remember Googling ebook, like, what's an ebook? And I, from my BlackBerry phone, took my gross food pictures we didn't have iPhones then, and I turned it into a PDF. And I made my very first product, which was a Staline recipe book. And I sold it for $10 on Facebook, and people bought it. And it was amazing. I didn't have a sales page. I didn't have an order form. I didn't have any of that. I just said, here's my recipe book. Who wants it? Send me an email. That's awesome. They sent me an email. I sent them a PayPal link. $10 later, they had the recipe book. It was easy. And they loved it. And as my body started changing too, and I started getting more and more fit, people were asking, well, how do you put your meals together so you can get that result in your body? So I sat down another weekend and I wrote what's now my best-selling 7-Day Jumpstart. Yeah. I literally sat down, I wrote it in a weekend. I didn't, again, no sales page, no order form, no marketing funnel, I didn't know what any of that was. I put it on Facebook for $35. It was 12 pages long at the time. And not only did people buy it, they loved it. Like, everyone that bought it would send me a message on Facebook after, like, oh my gosh, Natalie, this is the best thing ever. I lost 5 pounds. I lost 7 pounds in a week. I feel great. The fog is like all these great things. And all I did was teach him what I was doing.
Yeah.
And, I would screenshot what they were saying and I'd ask them, can I screenshot this? It's motivating for others. They'd say yes. I'd share it and I'd say, oh my gosh, you guys, look what Jennifer just sent me. She lost 7 pounds. She feels great. Read what she wrote. Who is next? And it just kept taking off.
It's awesome.
That product launched my whole business. It took off. That ebook became like 45-page ebook. It got expanded. That became my best-selling product. And I mean, years later, now it's a best-selling book in stores. It's called 7-Day Jumpstart Unprocess Your Diet. But at the time, it was just my ebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And I mean, I see your, y'all, I get to see her. So I'm looking at you right now and behind you have your, a magazine, hers.
Oh yeah. Muscle and Fitness, hers. Yeah.
Awesome. You do have awesome abs.
Thank you.
I've always been super impressed by your abs.
Thank you.
Back in the day. And then you also, what's kind of funny about that just brought up in me, I wasn't even going to bring it up, but the Libre Fitness EQs, Mark,
Yep.
that's how I found those things through you.
Oh yeah.
And then later on, and it's funny how life is, now, friends with Mark and, and I recently, I think it was last year, I got the pink ones because I've had them for years, I had the pink ones, and I use them when I'm training athletes. I'm a strength and conditioning coach for a couple of schools. And I think they're just an awesome tool. And I bought your pink ones or rose gold, and I did this ridiculous dance. So I'll probably put that in the my stories later.
I love it.
Because it was just goofy,
Yeah, love it.
Just being real though, and appreciative, and just be like, look, I got this, and that's what I love about everything that you always put out there. Is it is real. It is authentic. And that's why I had to have you on, because I was like, I reached out to you because I was like, I remember 3 years ago when I turned 40, my a good friend of mine didn't even realize that he was saying something to me that really upset me. He didn't do it intentionally, but he said, this is before I came out on social media trying to work, to build a business outside of my area.
Yeah.
He said, well, you need to hurry up because you're not getting any younger. And I remember thinking, wow, I already know that. I have 2 kids. I've put everything in my life into my children, and I love my children. I love my life. I love my husband, and I don't feel like I'm done. I feel like I'm just getting started because they don't need as much. They're older. I have my daughter's going to be 21 this summer, and my son is going to be a senior. And so I thought, that's why I've started to venture out a little bit and try to build something. And I was just, so when you put out there this new book that you have, Aging in Reverse, and the message that you're sending to women is, hey, listen, it's not too late.
No, you're not too old. It's not too late. And that friend needs to not be a friend anymore. I mean,
what's funny? He's not.
Yeah. I call that false assumed truth. So I always say I kill fat for a living, and I do. I kill the fat on our bodies, but the more important messaging around that is that I kill false assumed truths. And I have a really strict policy in my life that I don't want anyone in it that's going to tell me those false assumed truths. A false assumed truth is when there's so many, your friend did that to you. You're too old. We have bosses do that. They're looking for whoever is telling us we can't is a false assumed truth. Even I cringe at doctors that say, that diagnose and say, this is what's going to happen. I have a woman in one of my programs right now. She went to the doctor because she has something wrong with her thyroid, which is very real. I get that. But not her thyroid. She needed a hysterectomy. That's what it was. She needed a hysterectomy for health reasons. Got it. Medical things are real. I get it. But what I don't like is the doctor said to her, you're going to have a hysterectomy and you're going to gain about 20 to 30 pounds this year. That's what's going to happen. That's a false assumed truth. Yeah. Find a new doctor. For real. Find a new doctor, because you know what happened? She gained 20 or 30 pounds. Mm-hmm. She did, because her doctor told her she would, and she believed it. Now, are there people that do gain 20 or 30 pounds? Of course. Yeah. Are there people that lose weight? Yeah. Are there people that don't gain any weight at all? Yeah. Yeah. Whatever we believe, we're going to achieve. So if you tell somebody that something's going to happen, you don't know what they're dealing with in their head or their thoughts, and now it's going to happen. Yeah. And
it's like manifesting it.
Yeah. How are we doing any favors for someone to that's what I would, if a doctor said that to me, I'd say, what's your intention behind that? That's what I would ask him. What was your intention?
Yeah.
Because to make me feel bad, to make it doomsday. to be right. Like, I don't understand the intention behind that, because the second we validate something like that, we give up all hope. And I just want to take a stand for not doing that, because, you know, I have women all the time that give me their, you know, what's wrong with them. And I hear them. I am compassionate. I do understand. I have my own list of issues of what's wrong with me. I mean, we all have them. And I won't validate them. I'll say, I hear you. I got it. What are we doing about it? Let's find a solution. Because the second I say, you're right, that sucks. What hope am I giving them? Like, really, what hope am I giving them? I would rather find examples of people that are achieving it and have a different result and help them get there, because it is possible. And I'll give you an example for anyone who's questioning this. I'll give you 2 examples, actually. One is the 4-minute mile. For years, scientists, researchers, everyone said it is impossible to hit a 4-minute mile. No one can do it. It's not humanly possible. So you know what? No one tried. No one tried. It was a false assumed truth until, guess what? Somebody actually broke the 4-minute mile. What? Someone broke it. How dare they, right? Yeah. They set a new standard. And you know what happened after that happened? Like, about 15 people broke the 4-minute mile because they now knew it was possible. That's one example. Yeah. Another example, which is really close to home for anybody, if you just imagine biting a lemon. Like, just imagine biting a lemon. What happens to your body, your mouth, your tongue, your saliva? Right. You just made a face. I'm watching you. Yeah. That's just a total example on a low level of mind-body connection. What you believe, what you think about happens. Yeah. So I'm not saying that it's woo-woo, that you just decide things, but you do need to start believing that things are possible. And who says that 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 is too old? Right. Who says it's too late? And why are we believing it?
Yeah, well, because media and so, just social media too. I think it's changing though. It is changing. I mean, a little bit, and but you have to be discreet. You have to just be discreet. No, I can't think.
Yes, but why is it changing? It's changing because of someone like me who's saying, "Hell no, that's not true."
Right.
like I have to show. Like, when people say they're shocked by my age, it's like funny to me, because to me, this is what 47 is supposed to look and feel like.
Right.
This is what, so you're shocked by it. Why? Like, because you were told that it's supposed to look different. Like, it's not because I'm setting a new standard.
Well, our kids kind of believe it a little bit. I know I get a little push from my daughter. And it's just, and I've heard you say before from your daughter, just like, why do you think that's okay to be, dressing that way or doing these things?
Yeah. So we have to teach people. So like my daughter the other day, we were in a store. Now, granted, the woman asked if she was my sister, which, okay, that made my day. Clearly I don't look like my daughter's sister, but it made my day. It was like, I was like, oh, you just made my day, but no. And we laughed. And my sister says, Mom, I don't know why she would say that. You're old. And I said, Penelope, I just asked her, I said, what's your intention behind saying that? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what was your intention behind saying that? Was it to make me feel bad? Like, what was that? I just had her think, because I don't know that we actually call people forth on that stuff.
Right.
And if I'm not going to teach my daughter that, who is?
I agree. No, I totally agree. And I do that even with my kids too. I'm just like, okay, you know what? You can think that way, but this is how I'm going to do it. But they respect it more almost too, because we're living it.
But ask what their intention is, because I'll tell you, usually people's intentions are mean girl. I mean, really, it is. And it's something that's got to shift.
Yeah, it definitely has to. And you even talked about that with Ed Milet, which was an awesome, if y'all are listening to this, you got to listen to when you interviewed Ed Milet. I promoted it a while back, but I can maybe, re-promote it, because it was so good, because he's big on that. Like, there's my husband just walking by in the background. He's home today. He's never home at this time, but we've got some stuff going on with our driveway. Anyways, where was I at with it? He was saying that to you about what you truly, and what you said earlier applies to it. What you think about is really what you bring about, and that's why when you get a new truck, I love that when he was talking about that, and he was like, you get this new red truck. Now you start seeing red trucks everywhere. The red trucks were there before. It's just now that you see it, it's
And it's the same thing with, like, you could find many women in their 40s and 50s that are living their best lives right now. Yeah. There's many of them. Or you could find many that have given up on life. You could find either one. Like, it's just, what are you looking for? And then you can also find the women that are living it up and living their best lives in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. But you see you can also find people saying, wow, that's inspiring. I'm going to go for that too. And you can also find people hating on it. So it's like, it's what are you looking for?
Yeah. Well, what would your advice be to someone who's listening to this that has been, obviously get your book because that would help them.
Yeah. Aging in Reverse.
Yeah. Aging in Reverse, because that's coming out actually next month, right?
Yeah, you can pre-order it right now. It comes out May 14th. It hits stores everywhere, but you can absolutely pre-order it now at any place that sells books. Yes.
You're all over the place right now, and you're doing all these interviews, and I see you, you just launched your new live program, the Full Body Reset. And, you have people, you're very scheduled and really busy right now. And I wanted to have you on last month, and you sent me an email and you said, hey, can I reschedule? I've got some stuff going on. And I respected that so much because as, I don't know, I'm always on the go. I'm always going. And sometimes I'm a yes person too much
me too.
And so when you did that, and as someone I've looked up to for a while, and, in the industry, and I was like, okay, that I need to start applying that same thing. And I just want to applaud you for that, because
thank you.
I think as women, we need to realize that we don't have to say yes to everything.
Yes.
And we can schedule our lives better.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm a firm believer of two things. I'm a firm believer of the power of no. Yes. But I'm also a firm believer of being a yes person. Now, how does that go together? Well, being a yes person means creating win-win situations. So does that mean everything is a yes? Not necessarily, but there's always a win-win. So maybe I'm not going to say yes to something, but I'll find another way to help somebody, or another option. Now, they might not like the option, but I'm going to find something, because that's a win-win, because we don't have to let other people dictate our time. But I also feel it's very important to stay focused and stay focus on our mission, on our vision, on what it is that we want, to stay on track. So yes, sometimes I do say yes to things too fast, and I usually catch it and I will renegotiate. So that is a perfect example. I had an extremely unusually busy month last month. And my huge focus was my Full Body Reset program, my VIP weekend that I had coming, and my book launch. I had three major things another thing is I usually don't take on three things like that are piling up in a month. It's usually one, but I had three. So I had a lot of people wanting to do interviews and doing whatever. And of course I wanted to say yes to all of it. But then there was no space for me.
And that's not healthy, because then you can't help anyone.
No, because now I can't do my workouts. Now I can't eat well. Now I can't have my sleep. Now I can't. So I went through the list. I remember that day I sat down one day and I was feeling that overwhelm, and I went through my calendar and I looked at every single thing and I said, does this help with the vision at hand right now? Does this help with it? And everything that did not fit into that, I just sent an email or a message and rescheduled or canceled or whatever I needed to do.
That's awesome. I hope people are hearing that. I really do. I hope people are hearing that, because if you're not healthy, and if you're not in that place, it's not healthy for anything that you're doing.
Yes. And every yes says no to something else.
Yeah. So. True. Yeah. And so, people who are listening to this can go, oh, okay, yeah, she's got it. She's got it great. She's got this house. She's got this husband that loves her, and she's got this daughter, and her body's amazing and beautiful. And so it's so easy for her to do all these things. But what they may not know is your recent setback with an injury that really could have shut all of this down.
Yeah. So everything's about perspective. Literally everything's about the perspective. I could sit here and give you a list of 20 things wrong in my life right now, and I can enroll you in why my life sucks right now. Or I could tell you 20 things that are amazing about my life, and you could think that it's amazing. So it's all perspective, everything. But I last year, around about 17 months ago now, actually, I had a massive injury to my lower back. I've actually, any woman, any female in their 40s or 50s that does an MRI, you're going to see some signs of degenerative disc disease. I mean, it's just there as we, but what that means doesn't have to mean doomsday. So some people have pain, some people don't have pain. Now, some people can argue that theirs is worse than someone else's. Got it. Whatever. I hear you. I had a massive degenerative disc between L5-S1. I had a disc bulge on that, and I had a lot of pain. My facet joint, I had pain for years, and I trained myself, knowing functional training, how to really activate my core, activate my glutes, to basically take my lower back out of the equation. Now, you're a trainer and you understand what that means. Now the pros to that is if you take your lower back out of the equation, you don't feel the pain. The negative, the con to that is you weaken your lower back even more if you're never using it, right? So I did half of it right. I was taking that part out of the equation, so I wouldn't feel pain, and so I could get through my workouts and do things and stay fit. But I didn't realize how much I was weakening it. So what happened was I was filming. I was on set filming across the country, and I was doing 9 hours of workouts pretty much that day, and they were intense. They weren't my workouts. I was being paid to do somebody else's. So really fun, but way not stuff I normally do, which anyone that works out for that long, which is not advisable, by the way, you're going to start sacrificing form. And so my core and my glutes and all that wasn't staying perfectly active. So my lower back got it. Yeah. And I started experiencing a lot of pain, like more than I've ever paid. Like I will put it up there with labor pains. Like for any mom, it was that bad, my lower back. And I didn't know what was wrong. And I was scared. And I remember calling my husband, and he's like, just work through it, mind over matter, because we didn't know what I had done to it yet. Right. And I remember I had Myadol with me, like cramp medicine, and I kept taking Myadol because it's all I had. I just kept taking Myadol, and then I had a caffeine buzz. It was not good. But anyways, I got through it. It was horrible. I should have gone to the hospital. I didn't know it was that bad. I woke up the next morning and my lower back had stopped hurting, which was weird. And I was like, oh, my back doesn't hurt anymore. But I got up and my leg it felt like I was asleep, my right leg. I didn't know what was wrong with it. I got up, I collapsed. I was like, what's wrong with my leg? Man. I kept shaking it, like, wake up, what's going on? And my foot had something called foot drop. And if you Google that, you'll see what that is. But I was dragging my foot. So I was like, what? So then I didn't know what was, I was like, okay, well, maybe it was my leg or my piriformis. And I just felt it in my back. I was like trying to make sense of it all. Yeah. So again, dumb move, but I got on an airplane, went back to California before seeing anyone, just thinking, my leg will and the whole flight, I kept trying to stretch out my leg, like wake it up. Yeah. I never woke up. Yeah. As it turns out, I got back, went to the chiropractor, couldn't really help with anything. I ended up texting a friend who's an orthopedic surgeon, told him what was going on, literally thinking he was going to be like, it's nothing, just rest. And he's like, no, you need to get an MRI right now. So I went and got an MRI, and they said, okay, not only do you have a ruptured disc, it's the biggest ruptured disc we've ever seen, and it's wrapped around your spinal cord, and it's cutting off circulation. And you also the reason you can't feel your right leg is your whole nerve down your sciatic path is blocked. And you have foot drop. And if you don't fix this like quickly, you could lose use of your bowels and bladder and your leg permanently. And I was like, okay, that's not an option. Yeah. So I was in surgery the next day, like literally the next day. I had surgery. I had laser endoscopic spine surgery. They removed the disc that had ruptured. If you looked at me now on a MRI, I have literally no disc between L5 and S1. Nothing's there. And around it, it's collapsed because it was so degenerative. So I have a lot of pain in my lower back. I mean, when I say a lot of pain, like it's a lot of pain right now. Like it doesn't let up ever. What makes it bearable is eating an anti-inflammatory diet, being rigorous about it. What makes it feel better is moving, which sounds counterintuitive because you don't want to move or you want to lay in bed when it hurts like that. But if I don't move my body, it gets worse. What makes it worse is sitting. I have to stand. I have to walk. I'm sitting as I talk to you right now. This will be the only time I sit today. Yeah. So I have to be proactive. So why I tell that story is that I could easily enroll you in, I'm in a lot of pain and that whole story. And therefore I don't work out anymore and I don't do this and this sucks. And everyone would be, I get it, but I don't refuse to do that. I'm not going to live that way. Yeah. So I'm on a constant quest, and my pain, if I don't do those things, is like a 10 out of 10. I mean, I can't even like, it's so bad. I do those things. I can get it down to like a 4 and it's totally manageable. And I'm still on a path learning. I'm still looking into stem cell. I'm still looking into, I go to physical therapy. I do a lot of things to figure this out. Right. But so I share that because we all have things. We all have things, and it's, what are you going to do about them?
Yeah. That's why I wanted you to share that, because I think people, they get stuck in their own, they're listening to this going, yeah, but it's easy for her. But then when they hear that, they're like, oh, what is my excuse? I am healthy. I just need to start moving more, and I need to, feel good. But you mentioned it earlier, when you associate, there's always usually, especially when it comes to food, there's always there's feelings related to it. And when you associate how you want to feel after eating something,
Mm-hmm.
that makes a huge difference. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to have this pizza. It's so good.
Yes.
But what am I doing later? Okay, I have to be effective. I have this interview. I have to do that. I have a client. Is that
Yeah.
really going to get me the energy
Yes.
that I need? And
Exactly.
when I
And
think about
it's
that,
a choice. It's a choice.
at that moment, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, as of right now, this morning, like I woke up, this is one of those mornings I woke up with a ton of back pain, a ton. Like my husband's like, what's wrong? I'm like, my back. But I know exactly why. I know exactly what I ate yesterday. I know exactly what I did yesterday. And I'll tell you, I laid around, I watched Netflix. It was Sunday and we had a lazy day. I watched Netflix. I definitely ate things that are not anti-inflammatory.
Right.
I did a lot of, I didn't move my body yesterday. I did all those things yesterday. So I'm waking up this morning, oh my God, I'm in so much pain, but I know exactly what caused it. That's empowering to me because I know what caused it. So I don't have to eat that way today.
Do you have Wobenzyme? Have you ever taken Wobenzyme? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's what we
I don't
use
even
with
know what that is.
athletes. Do what?
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I'll send it to you in an email.
Okay.
It's called Wobenzyme, and I've used it with athletes, and it helps with inflammation. And so whenever an athlete gets injured, they recover quicker if you can keep their inflammation low, right? Well, we all know how athletes are. They don't slow down. They don't stop. I have
Totally.
my household, my son. And so when he's in the middle of football and it's like 2 days training and all that, I have him take that Wobenzyme at night.
Okay.
And so it just helps with inflammation
Yeah.
so healing can happen in the body,
Yeah.
And it's been around forever, but if you Google it, I'll send it to you in an email though, but if you Google it, it might help for when those moments. It's not,
But my whole thing is it's my reason for this example is like a 10 out of 10 pain is not a way to live. But if you can get your pain to a 4 and you could start, you don't like then you get lost in your life and you don't think about the pain. That's the way I can describe it. Like I was at a party the other night and I was having so much fun. Like I wasn't thinking about my back. Like I was out, but had I stayed in that 10 spot, I wouldn't even have gone.
right.
So it's not about like completely reversing anything. It's just that you can make choices every day to live your best life. With whatever circumstances. And, you don't get through your life without having things happen. Like things happen, but it's how are you going to handle them?
Well, and every time anything ever bad that's ever happened to you, you've turned it into something that's helped others. And I believe that everything that I've ever gone through in life that has been horrible, I've turned around to help and to use in my life to help others.
Yes.
Because you have an empathy. No, if your life was perfect and you never went through any of the setbacks that you've had to go through and all the stuff you've had to go through, nobody would listen to you.
Yes.
And that's why perfection doesn't work. Like be real, because when the whole, making sure everything is perfect and in its place before doing it. Like I messed up today, even with you getting you on here. I was like so excited. I didn't even send you the right link to the Zoom call, so but I just did, and it's like, but it wasn't perfect, but it worked, and you had, you understood, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate you coming on, even though you didn't feel amazing, because of the decisions that you made yesterday. And I did the same thing. We were with family, and it was my husband's birthday, and I ate stuff I normally wouldn't. And I this morning woke up puffier, and I was like, oh no, I've got this interview and I'm going to look all puffy, but it was worth it. And but I know why. And like you said, it's empowering when you know why.
That's all I want people to understand is it's not that like people say, well, if I follow your plan on aging in reverse, or if I follow your plan on full body reset or whatever, is that how I have to eat the rest of my life? Like you don't have to do anything, but the power is in the knowledge, like knowing I ate these things and I feel this way.
And you keep it simple. And is that let's real quick, let's wrap it up so that could you go on with your day and get anti-inflammatory the rest of your day. Hopefully you have good things planned for the rest of the day. It looks like it's a sunny day there, which is nice. It's a beautiful day here in Texas. I love living in Texas. Do you ever come to Texas?
I have been to Texas.
Yeah.
Not recently, but I have been. Yeah.
Don't come in the summer. No, I'm just teasing. So, okay, your book, Aging in Reverse, it sounds like, is it going to be another simple read like your?
Yeah, everything I do, my word I live by. In fact, I should have it tattooed on my wrist. Is called Simplify. It's Simplify. Simplify is my word. I believe, I'm a firm believer that you can impress people with a lot of complicated information, but it doesn't help them. So I'm all about simplifying and making it easy for people. So yes, everything I teach and do is very simple and easy to follow. But Aging in Reverse is basically a 10-day plan where we work on changing your state, which is your mindset, what we've been talking about, so that you can plan your plate in a way that you learn and understand, and then you can ultimately love your weight, which is the goal.
Yeah, which is loving yourself, taking time for yourself, and changing your perspective and filling yourself up with the things that fuel you to, so that you can be more effective person in life and in relationships and in everything that you do.
Yes.
And I think that's an awesome, and I love the simple things. I'm a very simple person too. It's like, I don't want to, when I'm talking, even when I'm with a client, I'm like, it's your shoulder. I'm not going to sit there and tell them all the little, not that I could, let's be clear, because I would forget. I'd be like, let me get my book real quick and tell you. They don't care. They don't care about that kind of stuff. They just want to feel good. And that's a lot of the message that you have. It's just like getting people to that place where they just feel good. It's like, it's like, people don't care what you know. They want you to help them feel better, and like you said, with the internet, there's so much information. Like you and I grew up without that.
Yeah.
We had to go to a place called a library to get information. And so now you just Google, and there's a million workouts out there. There's a million meal plans. There's a million diets. It's not about knowing. It's not about knowledge. It's about connecting. Yeah. And so that's what you're teaching people. And I appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom and just
thank you,
your love for and passion for people on my podcast, because
thank you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? This is the best. Like, I mean, I've been nerding out, like I said, all week. I'm just, and this is going to go on Instagram. Don't worry. Like, I'll be sharing it. I'm putting in my IG stories. I'm not at a status where I can do more than 10 minutes on IGTV, but that I will fill up that whole entire 10 minutes with this interview. And and hopefully we'll connect later on in life, and we're some of the similar circles and stuff like that. And I loved having because Isabel Price was on, and I found her through you, and now we have a relationship, and we were actually talking this weekend.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I forgot to mention that you were coming on the podcast. I should have told her. Oh, well, I'll send her a text. I'll be like, hey, go check this out. I got her on the podcast. But okay, Miss Fat Killer, Miss Positivity, and just you're just getting started. And I love that you're helping women our age and older say, listen, you've got a message, share it. Yeah. Whether it's with just your family or with the world. Don't
get enrolled in everybody else's stories about why you can't.
Right. And live anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
With Chalene Johnson, I know y'all are friends, and so she talks a lot about that. Yes. It's so true. But I wish you the best with your book. I can't wait to get it. I'll have all that stuff in the show notes, you guys, if you're listening. Where's the best place to reach out to you?
Anywhere. My website is nataliejill.com. I'm on Natalie Jill Fit on social media. My podcast is called Leveling Up, Creating Everything from Nothing. And then my new book, Aging in Reverse. That's what I would recommend everyone get.
You are definitely one on my podcast listening thing. I love the Leveling Up. You guys have you have some of the best guests. And you are so good at getting stuff out of them. It's like listening to Dr. Phil's not a good one. Like back in the day, there was shows that always got like actors or sports people to start crying and stuff. It's like, you always make me get to this point. You're really good at that. And so I'm glad that you took that on, another thing you took on, because I know how much time.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I love doing it.
It is so fun. And like, I love it too, because I get to actually talk to people like you. It's cool. So I appreciate your time. Y'all reach out to her and make sure you get her book. And I guess that's all for now.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.